The smell hit Naomi first. Perfume. Not hers. The kind that costs too much and announces itself the moment someone wearing it walks into a room. She stood in the doorway of her own bedroom, her suitcase still in her hand, and felt her entire body go cold. The conference in Atlanta was supposed to last 3 days, but the keynote speaker canceled, so everyone got sent home early. Naomi had texted Trevor to let him know she was coming back, but he hadn't responded. She figured he was at the gym or out with his boys. She figured a lot of things. Now she stood frozen, watching the woman she used to work with scramble to pull the sheets up over her naked body. Paige. The same Paige who used to smile at her in the break room. The same Paige who had quit 6 months ago, saying she wanted to pursue other opportunities. The same Paige who was now in Naomi's bed with Naomi's husband. Trevor sat up, his face going from shocked to guilty to defensive in 3 seconds flat. Naomi, listen. Don't. Her voice came out steady. Cool. She was proud of that. Don't say anything. Baby, this isn't what it looks like. Naomi almost laughed. Almost. Instead, she set her suitcase down carefully, like she was handling something fragile. Her hands didn't shake. Her voice didn't break. She looked at Paige, who couldn't meet her eyes, then back at Trevor. How long? Trevor ran his hand over his face. It doesn't matter. How long? Paige pulled the blanket tighter around herself. She looked smaller now, less bold. Naomi, I'm sorry. I didn't ask you. Naomi's eyes stayed on Trevor. I asked my husband. The word felt wrong in her mouth now. Husband. Like something spoiled. Trevor stood up, pulling on his boxers. 8 months. Okay. 8 months. But Naomi, I love you. I still love you. This was just 8 months. Naomi repeated the words slowly, tasting each one. 8 months. While she'd been working 60-hour weeks to save for the house they were supposed to buy together. While she'd been meal prepping and doing his laundry and planning their anniversary trip. 8 months. She turned and walked back into the living room. Behind her, she heard Trevor following, still talking, still trying to explain. The words sounded like noise. Static. She grabbed her purse from the counter, her laptop bag from the chair. Where are you going? Trevor reached for her arm. She pulled away before he could touch her. Don't. Naomi, come on. We can work this out. People make mistakes. Mistakes are forgetting to buy milk. Mistakes are mixing up dates. She looked at him. Really looked at him. At the man she'd married 2 years ago. The man she'd trusted with everything. Almost everything. This wasn't a mistake. This was a choice. 8 months of choices. So what, you're just leaving? Just like that? Yes. Where are you going to go? He sounded angry now. Like she was the one being unreasonable. You don't have anywhere. I have somewhere. She headed for the door. Naomi. His voice rose. You can't just leave. We need to talk about this. We need to figure out what we're going to do. The apartment, the bills, everything. She stopped at the door, her hand on the knob. For a second she thought about telling him. About the 3 houses she owned free and clear. About the rental income that had been sitting in a separate account for 5 years. About the safety net her parents had left her that he knew nothing about. But she didn't. Figure it out, she said instead and walked out. The hallway of their apartment building had never felt longer. She made it to the elevator before her hands started shaking. Made it to her car before the tears tried to come. She blinked them back. She wouldn't cry. Not yet. Not for him. She drove. Not far. Just across town to the neighborhood she'd been visiting once a month for property inspections. The neighborhood where she owned a 2-bedroom house that Trevor had never seen. Never would see. Her phone buzzed. Trevor calling. She declined it. It buzzed again. A text this time. Naomi, please. We can fix this. Don't throw away 2 years of marriage. She almost replied. Almost told him that he'd thrown it away the first time he'd brought Paige into their bed. Into her bed. Instead, she blocked his number and turned off her phone. The house was just as she'd left it 3 weeks ago. Clean. Empty. Waiting. The tenant had moved out at the end of last month, and Naomi hadn't listed it yet. She'd been thinking about whether to sell it or renovate it or find another renter. Now she knew. She unlocked the door and stepped inside, breathing in the smell of fresh paint and possibility. The furniture was gone, but the hardwood floors gleamed. The walls were neutral. It was a blank slate. Just like her life was about to be. She walked through the empty rooms, her footsteps echoing. 2 bedrooms. 1 bathroom. A kitchen with updated appliances. A small backyard with a fence. It wasn't big, but it was hers. Really hers. Bought with her inheritance. kept separate from her marriage, protected. Her parents had died in a car accident 5 years ago. The grief had nearly killed her. But they'd left her something. 3 houses they'd bought as rental properties over the years. 3 houses that brought in steady income. 3 houses that Trevor knew nothing about. When she'd met Trevor a year after her parents died, she'd been raw with grief, looking for something to hold on to. He'd been charming, tentative. He'd made her laugh again. And when he proposed after a year of dating, she'd said yes without thinking twice. But she'd never told him about the houses. At first, it was just that the topic never came up. Then it became habit. Then it became something deeper. A voice in the back of her head, sounding like her mother. Keep something for yourself, baby. Always have a way out. She'd thought her mother was being paranoid, old-fashioned, cynical about marriage. Now she understood. Naomi sat down on the floor in the empty living room, her back against the wall. She pulled out her phone and turned it back on. 17 missed calls from Trevor. 12 text messages. She deleted them all without reading them. Then she opened her contacts and scrolled to a name she hadn't called in months. Her lawyer. The one who'd helped her set up the property management company. The one who knew about the houses. The call connected on the second ring. Naomi? Is everything okay? I need to file for divorce, she said. Her voice was steady, clear. As soon as possible. There was a pause. Okay. Can you come in tomorrow morning? Yes. Do you want to tell me what happened? Not yet. Naomi looked around the empty house. Her house. But I will. Tomorrow. She hung up and sat in the silence. The reality was starting to sink in now. Her marriage was over. The man she trusted had betrayed her in the worst possible way. She should feel devastated, broken, lost. Instead, she felt something else. Something harder, colder. She felt free. And she felt angry. Trevor had thought she had nowhere to go. No options. No backup plan. He'd probably been planning this for months, waiting for the right time. Waiting until he thought she was trapped. He didn't know that she'd never been trapped at all. Naomi stood up, dusting off her jeans. She looked around the empty house, already imagining it filled with her things. Her furniture. Her life. Without him. Without his lies. Without any trace of the last 2 years. She pulled up the property management company's number and sent a quick email letting them know she'd be moving into the Riverside property and to halt any new tenant searches. Then she opened her banking app and looked at the balance in her secret account. The one Trevor had never seen. The one that held years of rental income. $48,000. Plus her regular savings. Plus her 401k. Plus the equity in 2 other houses. Trevor wanted to talk about what they were going to do about the apartment and the bills? Let him figure it out. She was done carrying him. Naomi locked up the house and headed back to her car. She had things to do. Arrangements to make. A life to reclaim. And a husband to divorce. The anger was still there, cold and bright. But beneath it was something stronger. Something Trevor would never have expected from his quiet, accommodating wife. Determination. He'd taken her trust. Her love. Her dignity. Her sense of safety in her own home. But he hadn't taken the things that mattered. The things her parents had worked hard to give her. The foundation they'd built so she'd never have to depend on anyone. Naomi started the car and pulled out onto the street. In the rearview mirror she could see the house getting smaller. Her house. One of 3. The secret that had just become her salvation. Trevor had no idea what was coming. And she wasn't going to warn him. Naomi sat across from her lawyer, Patricia Hammond, in an office that smelled like leather and old books. Patricia was in her 50s, sharp-eyed, with silver hair cut short and a reputation for being ruthless in divorce cases. Naomi had hired her 5 years ago to help set up the property trust after her parents died. She'd never imagined she'd need her for this. Start from the beginning, Patricia said, her pen poised over a legal pad. Naomi took a breath. I came home early from a conference yesterday. Found my husband in bed with another woman. Someone I used to work with. Patricia's expression didn't change. She'd probably heard worse. Did he know you were coming home? I texted him. He didn't respond. Good. That establishes he had no reason to think you wouldn't find them. Patricia made a note. How long have you been married? 2 years. Together for 3 before that. Any children? No. Good. That simplifies things. Patricia looked up. Now tell me about your assets. Everything. Don't leave anything out. This was the part Naomi had been waiting for. The part that was about to change everything. The apartment we live in is a rental. It's in my name only. He's not on the lease. Patricia's eyebrow went up slightly. Smart. What else? I have a checking account and a savings account, both in my name. He has access to the checking account, but there's usually only a few thousand in there for bills and groceries. My savings has about 12,000. Joint savings. No. Separate. He doesn't know about it. Better and better. Continue. I have a 401k through my job. About 60,000. Started before the marriage? Yes. I've been at my company for 6 years. Patricia nodded, still writing. What about him? What does he have? A checking account with maybe 2,000. No savings that I know of. His car is financed. He's still paying student loans. Does he work? Yes. He's in sales for a tech company. Makes about 50,000 a year. And you? 85,000. Plus bonuses. Patricia looked up. So you've been the primary breadwinner? Yes. Does he contribute equally to household expenses? Naomi thought about the years of splitting rent while she also paid for groceries, utilities, and most of their entertainment. About how Trevor's paychecks seemed to disappear on things he needed while hers went into their life together. No. I pay about 70%. Documented? Bank statements. I can pull them. Do that. Patricia made another note. Now, tell me about the houses. This was it. The part that made everything different. Naomi felt something loosen in her chest. My parents died 5 years ago. They left me 3 houses. All paid off. No mortgages. Patricia's pen stopped moving. She looked up, her eyes sharp. 3 houses. Free and clear. Yes. And your husband knows about these? No. There was a long pause. Patricia leaned back in her chair, studying Naomi's face. You never told him? No. Not when you were dating? No. Not when you got engaged? No. Not when you got married? No. Patricia's expression shifted. Something that might have been respect. Why not? Naomi thought about how to explain it. About the grief that had made her cautious. About her mother's voice in her head. About the feeling she'd had even in the beginning, that she needed something that was just hers. My parents died in a car accident. It was sudden. Horrible. For a long time I couldn't even think about the houses. I hired a property management company to handle everything. The rent goes into a separate account. I've barely touched it in 5 years. But you knew it was there. Yes. And when you met Trevor? I was still grieving. I wasn't thinking about the houses. I was just trying to get through each day. And then we were dating and it never came up. He never asked about my finances. Never asked what my parents left me. And I never volunteered it. Patricia nodded slowly. And then it became a secret. Yes. Good. Patricia picked up her pen again. This is very good, Naomi. These are premarital assets. Kept completely separate from the marriage. He has no claim to them. None. Relief washed over Naomi. She'd known this logically. But hearing it from Patricia made it real. You're sure? Absolutely sure. The houses were inherited before you married. They're titled in your name only, correct? Yes. They're in a trust. The Hammond Trust. Named after your parents? Named after their last name, yes. Hammond. My maiden name. And the rental income? Goes into an account that's part of the trust. A separate bank entirely from where Trevor and I do our personal banking. Has he ever seen statements from this account? Never. Has he ever had access to this account? No. Has any money from this account ever been deposited into your joint checking? Naomi thought carefully. No. The only money in our joint account comes from my paychecks and his. Not even once? Not for a vacation or a big purchase? Not once. I was careful about that. Patricia smiled. Actually smiled. Naomi, I have to say, whether you did this intentionally or not, you've protected yourself perfectly. These assets are completely safe. The weight Naomi had been carrying since yesterday lifted a little more. What about the apartment? The furniture? The apartment is in your name. He has no lease rights. You can evict him whenever you want. The furniture, did you buy it before or during the marriage? Most of it before. I moved into a furnished apartment. Brought my stuff. He moved in with almost nothing. Do you have receipts? I keep everything. They're in a file in my storage unit. Storage unit? I rent a unit across town. Keep old tax returns, receipts, important documents. Trevor doesn't know about it. Patricia actually laughed. Naomi, you're making this very easy. Get me those receipts. Get me copies of all your bank statements going back 3 years. Get me the trust documents for the houses. Get me everything. I can have it all to you by tomorrow. Perfect. Now here's what's going to happen. We're going to file for divorce citing irreconcilable differences. In this state, we don't have to prove fault, but it doesn't hurt that he was unfaithful. If he contests anything, we have grounds. Will he get anything? From the houses? No. From your premarital savings? No. From your 401k? He might have a claim to the portion that accumulated during the marriage, but it won't be much. From the apartment furniture? If you have receipts proving you bought it before marriage, no. What will he get? He'll get to keep his own car, his own clothes, his own personal items. That's about it. You were married for 2 years, Naomi. You were the primary earner. You kept your assets separate. This is going to be a clean split. He's going to be angry. Let him be angry. That's not your problem anymore. Patricia leaned forward. Listen to me. Women come into my office all the time after discovering their husbands have been cheating. Half of them are financially destroyed because they trusted completely. They put everything in joint accounts. They put their husbands' names on houses. They made themselves vulnerable. I didn't. No, you didn't. And whether you realized it or not at the time, you saved yourself. Patricia paused. Your mother told you to keep something for yourself, didn't she? Naomi felt her throat tighten. How did you know? Because my mother told me the same thing. And I listened. That's why I'm good at what I do. Patricia's voice softened slightly. Your parents left you something precious, Naomi? Not just money or property. They left you independence. Freedom. The ability to walk away when you need to. I needed to. Yes, you did. Patricia picked up her phone. I'm going to have my assistant draft the initial filing. We'll serve him within 48 hours. Until then, I want you to document everything. Take pictures of the apartment. Make a list of what's yours. Change all your passwords. Set up a new email address he doesn't know about. Route all your important mail to a P.O. box. Should I move out? That's up to you. Legally, you have every right to stay. But emotionally, I can't go back there. Then don't. You said you moved into one of your houses. Last night. The tenant just moved out. Perfect. Stay there. Let him stay in the apartment if you want. You're still on the lease until the end of the month anyway, correct? Yes. It's up for renewal in 3 weeks. Then here's what you do. You let him stay there until the lease ends. You don't renew. He can find somewhere else to go. You're under no obligation to house him. The thought of Trevor scrambling to find a new place made something hard form in Naomi's chest. Not quite satisfaction. Not quite revenge. Just the cold knowledge that his problems were no longer hers to solve. Okay, she said. One more thing. Patricia's voice turned serious. He's going to try to contact you. He's going to try to convince you to come back. He's going to apologize, make promises, maybe even cry. Some of them even believe their own lies. But here's what I need you to understand. This was planned. 8 months, you said? That's what he told me. Then this wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was a sustained deception. He lied to you every single day for 8 months. Every time he said he loved you. Every time he kissed you. Every time he came home and acted like everything was normal. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. Naomi nodded, feeling the anger flare again. Don't let him manipulate you into thinking you're overreacting. Don't let him convince you that everyone deserves a second chance. You don't owe him anything. You owe yourself a life free from betrayal. I won't go back. Good. Patricia stood, extending her hand. Then let's get you divorced. Naomi shook her hand, feeling something shift. Yesterday she'd felt like her world had ended. Today she was beginning to realize it had just been reset. She left Patricia's office with a folder full of instructions and a timeline. In 6 months, maybe less, she'd be legally free. No ties to Trevor. No obligation to Paige. No connection to any of it. She drove to the storage unit across town, a place Trevor had never been. Inside were boxes of her parents' things that she hadn't been able to go through. Old photo albums. Her mother's jewelry. Her father's books. And underneath it all, a filing cabinet with every important document from her life before Trevor. She pulled out the receipts for her furniture. The trust documents. The property deeds. 5 years of bank statements from the account Trevor didn't know existed. The rental agreements from her property management company. Everything Patricia needed to bury him in court. She loaded it all into her car and drove to Patricia's office, dropping it off with the assistant. Then she drove back to her new old house. Her house. The one she was going to live in. The one Trevor would never see. She spent the afternoon measuring rooms and making lists. She'd need a bed, a couch, a kitchen table. She had some money in her regular savings, and now she could dip into the trust account without guilt. This was what it was for. Starting over. Building a life. Her phone buzzed. She'd unblocked Trevor's number just long enough to see what he was saying. The messages rolled in. Naomi, please call me. We need to talk about this. You can't just leave like this. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. Just come home. Where are you staying? Are you safe? This is crazy. You're being crazy. Fine. Don't answer. But we're still married. We need to figure out the apartment. She blocked him again and deleted the messages. He'd find out about the divorce when he got served. Until then, she owed him nothing. Not explanations. Not conversations. Not closure. That evening, she ordered a mattress online for express delivery. She found a discount furniture store that could deliver a couch and table by the weekend. She set up utilities in her name. She changed her mailing address. She did all the things that meant she wasn't going back. When she finally lay down on the air mattress she picked up from a big box store, she felt exhausted. But beneath the exhaustion was something else. Something she hadn't felt in a long time. Oh. Her phone buzzed one more time before she fell asleep. Not Trevor. The property management company, confirming that the other two houses were both occupied by good tenants, rent paid on time, no issues. Naomi smiled in the dark. 3 houses. $48,000. Independence. Her parents had given her a gift bigger than they'd ever known. They'd given her the freedom to walk away from a man who didn't deserve her. And she was just getting started. The divorce papers were served on a Tuesday afternoon. Naomi knew because Trevor called her from a number she didn't recognize at exactly 3:47 p.m. She let it go to voicemail, then listened to the message while eating dinner at her new kitchen table. What is this? His voice was loud, strained. You had me served at work, Naomi? At work. My boss handed me the papers. Do you know how embarrassing that was? We need to talk about this. You can't just divorce me without even trying to work it out. Call me back. Now. She deleted the message and blocked the new number. By Friday, he'd figured out she wasn't renewing the apartment lease. The property manager called her to confirm, mentioning that her husband had stopped by asking about renewal options. What did you tell him? Naomi asked. That the lease is in your name only, and you'd already given notice you won't be renewing. He asked for your new address. I told him I couldn't provide that information. Thank you. He seemed upset. Just wanted you to know in case he tries to contact you. He tried. Naomi knew that. But she'd already changed her phone number for everything except work. She'd deactivated her social media. She'd even changed the code on her gym locker. Every connection between them was being systematically cut. The following Monday, Patricia called with an update. His lawyer responded to the filing. They're trying to claim he's entitled to spousal support. Naomi almost laughed. Based on what? Based on the fact that you earn more than he does and you're forcing him to move out of the apartment. The apartment I pay for. That he's not on the lease for. Exactly. His lawyer is reaching. They're also requesting a full disclosure of all assets. Do we have to provide that? We have to provide information about marital assets. The houses aren't marital assets. They never have been. We'll provide statements for your checking and savings accounts. We'll provide information about the 401k. But the trust? That's none of his business. What if he finds out about it? How would he? He doesn't know the houses exist. He doesn't know the trust exists. Unless you tell him, there's no way for him to discover it. And even if he did somehow find out, it wouldn't matter. He still has no legal claim. Naomi felt the tension ease. Okay. There's one more thing. His lawyer is pushing for mediation. They want you both to sit down and try to reach an agreement outside of court. I don't want to see him. You don't have to. I'll attend any mediation on your behalf. You can stay completely out of it if you want. I want that. Then that's what we'll do. After the call, Naomi spent the afternoon working on her house. She'd taken a week of vacation time from work, telling her boss she needed to deal with personal matters. The truth was she needed space to think, to plan, to figure out what came next. She painted the bedroom a soft gray, hung curtains in the living room, arranged her books on the built-in shelves her father had probably installed years ago. The house was slowly becoming hers. Not just legally but emotionally. Her neighbor, a woman in her 60s named Gloria, stopped by with a plate of cookies. Saw you moving in, Gloria said. Wanted to welcome you to the neighborhood. You renting? No. I own the house. My parents left it to me. Oh, I'm sorry for your loss. Gloria's face softened. I remember the couple who used to own this. Nice folks. They rented it out for years. Those were my parents. Small world. Gloria smiled. Well, if you need anything, I'm right next door. Been here 30 years. Know everyone on the block. Thank you. After Gloria left, Naomi realized she hadn't thought about Trevor in hours. She'd been too busy creating a space that felt safe, that felt like hers. The anger was still there, but it had transformed into something more productive. Energy, determination, purpose. That night, she pulled up her laptop and started researching. If she was going to be living in one of her houses, maybe it was time to really learn about property management, about investment, about building wealth instead of just maintaining it. She found courses online, read articles about real estate investing, joined forums where people talked about rental properties and tenant management. The more she learned, the more she realized how much her parents had actually left her. Not just houses, not just money, but opportunity. By the end of the week, she had a plan. She'd keep this house as her primary residence. She'd continue renting out the other two. And she'd save aggressively for a fourth property. Maybe a fifth. She could build something here. Something that was entirely hers. Her phone rang. Patricia. They want to settle, Patricia said without preamble. Trevor's lawyer called. They're willing to drop the spousal support claim if you give him half the furniture and $10,000. No. That's what I thought you'd say. I'll tell them no. They'll probably come back with another offer. I don't care what they offer. He gets nothing. He did this. He made his choices. Now he lives with them. Understood. This is going to make things more difficult. We'll probably end up in court. That's fine. I have the receipts. I have the proof. He has nothing. Just wanted to make sure you're prepared for this to get ugly. It's already ugly. That evening, Naomi drove past her old apartment. She couldn't help herself. She needed to see it, to understand what Trevor was doing. Paige's car was in the parking lot. Naomi sat in her car down the block, engine running, watching. After about 20 minutes, Trevor and Paige came out together. They were arguing. Even from a distance, Naomi could see the tension in their body language. Trevor was gesturing wildly. Paige had her arms crossed. They got into Trevor's car and drove away. Naomi waited another 10 minutes, then left. So Paige had moved in, or was staying there. Either way, Trevor had wasted no time replacing Naomi in the apartment she'd been paying for. The apartment she'd be vacating in less than 2 weeks. She wondered if he'd told Paige they had to move. Wondered if Paige knew he was broke. Wondered if either of them had thought past the affair to the reality of what came next. Not her problem. 2 weeks later, the lease ended. Naomi showed up with a moving truck on the last day to get the few things she'd left behind. Her books. Her grandmother's china. The painting her mother had given her. Everything else could stay. Let Trevor figure out what to do with it. He was there when she arrived. Of course he was. He'd probably been waiting. Naomi. He looked terrible. Thinner. Tired. His hair needed cutting. We need to talk. We don't. She walked past him into the apartment. Please. Just 5 minutes. She didn't answer. Just started loading boxes onto the moving cart. Her books. Her kitchen items. The few pieces of furniture she actually cared about. Where are you staying? Trevor followed her. Are you okay? Are you safe? I'm fine. Are you staying with a friend? Family? I need to know you're okay. She turned to look at him. Really look at him. He looked sincere. Concerned. Like he actually cared. But she knew better now. She knew how good he was at lying. You don't need to know anything about me anymore. I'm still your husband. For now. Naomi, come on. This is crazy. We can work this out. I made a mistake. 8 months isn't a mistake. He flinched. Okay, you're right. I did a terrible thing. I hurt you. I know that. But we can get past this. We can go to counseling. We can. No. Why not? Why won't you even try? She set down the box she was holding. Because I don't want to. Because I deserve better than someone who lies to my face every single day. Because I don't forgive this. Everyone deserves a second chance. Not from me. Not for this. His expression hardened. This is because of Paige, isn't it? You're punishing me because... This is because of you. Naomi's voice rose. You did this? Yeah. Not her. Yeah. You brought her into our bed. You lied to me for 8 months. You risked my health. You destroyed my trust. That was all you. So what, you're just going to throw away 2 years? You already did. Trevor's hands clenched. Fine. You want a divorce? You'll get a divorce. But I'm not making this easy. You think you're going to just walk away with everything? I want half. Half of everything. Naomi almost smiled. Talk to your lawyer about that. I already did. He says I'm entitled to half the marital assets. Then I guess you'll get half of nothing. His face went red. What's that supposed to mean? It means I don't have anything for you to take. The apartment's a rental. The furniture's mine. My savings is protected. You made $50,000 a year while we were married. I made $85,000. You want half. You can have half of the joint checking account. That's about $1,000. Congratulations. That's impossible. You're hiding something. I'm not hiding anything. You just never bothered to ask where my money went. You assumed I'd always be there to pay your way. I paid my share. You paid 30% of our bills while making 60% of what I make. You call that paying your share? Trevor had no answer for that. He just stared at her, something new in his eyes. Fear. Good. Let him be scared. Let him worry about where he was going to live and how he was going to afford it. Let him figure out how to survive without her carrying him. She finished loading her things in silence. He stood there watching, his hands in his pockets, looking smaller with every box she carried out. When she had everything, she walked to the kitchen counter and left the keys. Lease is up today. I already told the landlord you'd be vacating. I suggest you find somewhere else to go. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore. She walked out, leaving him standing in the apartment they'd shared. The apartment she'd be happy to never see again. Behind her, she heard him call her name one more time. She didn't turn around. Didn't slow down. Just kept walking toward the truck, toward her car, toward the life waiting for her on the other side of this mess. In her rearview mirror, she saw him standing in the parking lot, watching her leave. He looked lost. Defeated. Like he'd finally realized what he'd thrown away. Too late. Way too late. 3 months into the divorce proceedings, Naomi's phone rang with a number she didn't recognize. Usually she let unknown numbers go to voicemail, but something made her answer this time. Hello? Is this Naomi Hammond? A woman's voice. Professional. Careful. Yes. My name is Jennifer. I know this might sound strange, but I think we need to talk. It's about Trevor. Naomi's first instinct was to hang up. She didn't want to hear anything about Trevor from anyone. But something in the woman's voice stopped her. What about him? I saw the divorce filing. It's public record. And I think you should know that you're not the only one he did this to. Naomi sat down slowly. What do you mean? Can we meet? I'd rather talk in person. I have some things I think you need to see. They agreed to meet at a coffee shop near Naomi's new house. Jennifer turned out to be a woman about Naomi's age, dark hair pulled back in a ponytail, eyes that looked tired and angry at the same time. Thank you for meeting me, Jennifer said, sliding into the booth across from Naomi. I wasn't sure you would. I almost didn't. Who are you? I'm Trevor's ex-girlfriend. From before you. We dated for 3 years. Naomi felt something cold settle in her stomach. When? We broke up about 6 months before he met you. He ended it pretty suddenly. Said he needed space to work on himself. Jennifer laughed bitterly. I found out later he was already dating someone else. You. I didn't know. I know. That's not why I'm here. I'm not angry at you. Jennifer pulled out her phone. I'm angry at him. And I think you have a right to know what kind of person you married. I already know what kind of person he is. Do you? Jennifer turned her phone around, showing Naomi a series of screenshots. Text messages. Social media posts. Emails. Because this is what he was doing while we were together. Naomi read through them slowly. Messages between Trevor and multiple women. Flirty texts. Plans to meet up. Lies about where he was going and who he was with. It dated back years. Long before Naomi had ever met him. He cheated on you. Multiple times. That I know of. Probably more that I didn't catch. Jennifer swiped through more screenshots. But that's not even the worst part. What's the worst part? Look at the timeline. Jennifer zoomed in on the dates. See this conversation? This is from about 7 months into our relationship. He's talking to this woman about how his girlfriend, me, just got a promotion. How I'm making good money now. How things are looking up. Naomi saw where this was going. Then look at these messages from a year later. He's asking her if she knows anyone who needs a roommate because his current living situation isn't working out. That's when I found out he was cheating. He'd been planning to leave me but was waiting for the right time. The right time being after he'd used up whatever he could get from you. Exactly. Jennifer pulled up more screenshots. Now look at this. These are from right after we broke up. He's messaging this other woman talking about his new girlfriend. That's you. Naomi saw her own name in the messages. Saw Trevor describing her as sweet and easy and doing well for herself. Her stomach turned. He was with me because I had money. Then he moved on to you because you had more. Not just that, Jennifer said. Look at the timing. When did he propose? About a year after we started dating. When did you get promoted at your job? Naomi's blood ran cold. About a month before. Same with me. He proposed to me right after I got promoted to senior analyst. Suddenly he was ready for the next step. Ready to get serious. Looking at apartments together. Talking about our future. Jennifer's voice was hard. Then I started asking questions about our finances. About combining accounts. About his credit score because we were talking about buying a house. That's when he started pulling away. He didn't want you looking too close. Right. Because I would have seen that he had maxed out credit cards and back taxes he hadn't paid. I would have seen that he was drowning in debt. I would have realized he saw me as a solution to his problems, not as a partner. Naomi thought about her own finances. About how Trevor had never asked detailed questions. About how he'd seemed happy to let her handle the bills and the money management. About how he'd spent his paychecks on whatever he wanted while she'd been saving and planning and trying to build something. He was using me. He was using both of us. And I'd bet anything he's doing the same thing with Paige. Jennifer put her phone away. The divorce filing says you caught him cheating with someone you used to work with. That's Paige. Yes. When did she get promoted? Naomi thought back. About a year ago. She got bumped up to senior account manager. Good salary bump. That's when she started acting different. More confident. Talking about how she was finally making real money. Let me guess. That's when Trevor's interest shifted to her. The pieces clicked into place. Trevor had been with Naomi for the financial security. But when someone with more money came along, or someone whose money he thought he could access more easily, he'd shifted his focus. It had never been about love. It had been about opportunity. There's more, Jennifer said. I did some digging after I saw your divorce filing. I wanted to see if there was a pattern. I found 2 other women Trevor dated seriously. Both of them had good jobs. Both of them supported him financially. Both of them got dumped when they started asking too many questions about money. He's a con artist. Not legally. He's too smart for that. He doesn't forge signatures or steal money outright. He just attaches himself to women who have resources and bleeds them dry slowly. A dinner here. A weekend trip there. His car payment when money's tight. Rent when he's between jobs. Naomi thought about all the times she'd covered Trevor's expenses. All the times he'd said he was having a rough month and could she spot him until his commission check came in. All the times she'd paid for trips and dinners and gifts because she made more and it seemed fair. She'd been played. Why are you telling me this? Naomi asked. Because I saw the divorce filing and I saw you're representing yourself with a good lawyer. That means you're fighting. That means you're not just rolling over and letting him take half. Jennifer leaned forward. And I want you to win. I want you to take everything from him the way he took everything from us. I'm already planning to. Good. But here's what you need to know. He's going to fight dirty. He's going to claim you're hiding assets. He's going to try to paint himself as the victim. He's going to lie on financial disclosure forms. And if you don't catch him, he might actually get away with it. What do you mean? Jennifer pulled out a folder from her bag. These are copies of documents I kept from when we were together. Bank statements showing deposits to accounts he claimed didn't exist. Credit card bills he said were paid off but weren't. Tax returns that show income he never reported when we were talking about combining finances. You kept all this? I'm an accountant. I keep everything. Jennifer slid the folder across the table. I can't use these in court. We're not married. It's not my divorce. But you can use them. You can show a pattern of financial deception. You can prove he's not trustworthy. Naomi opened the folder, scanning through the documents. It was all there. Evidence of Trevor's lies spanning years. Evidence that this was who he'd always been. There's one more thing. Jennifer pulled out another sheet of paper. This is an email Trevor sent me about a year into our relationship. We were talking about getting serious, maybe moving in together. He sent this to his friend. I only saw it because he left his email open on my laptop one day. Naomi read the email. Her hands started shaking. Dude, I think I'm set. Jennifer's making bank now and she's talking about buying a house. If I play this right, I can ride this out for years. No more struggling. No more worrying about rent. Just got to keep her happy and keep her thinking this is going somewhere. Easy money. He wrote this about you. He wrote this about me. And I'd bet anything he wrote something similar about you. Jennifer's voice was quiet. We weren't partners to him. We were marks. Naomi felt rage building. Not the hot, immediate anger from discovering the affair. This was something colder. Deeper. The rage that came from realizing she'd been manipulated from the very beginning. I want to destroy him. Good. Jennifer smiled grimly. So let's do it. Give all this to your lawyer. Show her the pattern. Show her that this isn't just a case of infidelity. This is a case of calculated financial exploitation. Will it help? It'll help you prove he's not entitled to a penny. And more than that, it'll help the next woman. Because if he loses everything in this divorce, he won't have the resources to do this again. They exchanged contact information. Jennifer promised to testify if needed. She said she had other women willing to come forward too. Women Trevor had burned. Women who wanted to see him pay. Walking back to her car, Naomi felt different. The last 3 months she'd been focused on protecting what was hers. On keeping Trevor away from her inheritance and her assets. But she'd been thinking too small. This wasn't just about protecting herself. This was about making sure Trevor never did this to anyone else. She called Patricia as soon as she got home. I have new evidence. A lot of it. Evidence of a pattern of financial exploitation going back years. Patricia was silent for a moment. Tell me everything. Naomi did. She explained about Jennifer, about the other women, about the emails and documents and history of lies. When she finished, Patricia let out a low whistle. This changes everything. This isn't just a divorce case anymore. This is a case about someone who has systematically defrauded multiple women. And we can prove it. What does that mean for the divorce? It means Trevor isn't getting anything. Not one penny. And it means when we're done, everyone will know exactly who he is. Patricia paused. Are you sure you want to go this route? It's going to get nasty. It's going to be public. His lawyers will fight hard. I'm sure. Then let's burn his world down. That night, Naomi spread all the documents across her dining table. Years of Trevor's lies laid out in black and white. Evidence of who he really was beneath the charm and the smiles and the promises. She thought she was fighting for a clean divorce. Now she knew she was fighting a war. And she was going to win. The next month was a masterclass in strategic planning. Naomi worked with Patricia to build a case so airtight that Trevor's lawyer would have nowhere to go. They compiled evidence, organized documents, and prepared for every possible counterargument. But Naomi was also doing something else. Something Trevor would never see coming. She was building her own empire. Every morning she woke up at 6. She spent an hour reading about real estate investing, property management, and wealth building. Then she'd work on her freelance consulting business, reaching out to former colleagues who might need her expertise. It started small. A friend from her old company needed help with a marketing strategy. Naomi spent a weekend putting together a proposal and charged $1,500. The friend was thrilled and referred her to someone else. Then someone else. Within a month, Naomi had 5 clients and was making more on the side than she'd made in bonuses at her corporate job. By the end of the 2nd month, she'd quit her full-time position. Her boss tried to convince her to stay. Offered her a raise, a promotion, better benefits. But Naomi had seen what corporate life had given her. Long hours. Constant stress. Just enough money to make her think she was building something while Trevor drained it away. Now she was building something real. She registered her consulting business officially. Set up a website. Created a business bank account. Everything separate, everything documented, everything hers. The rental income from her 2 occupied houses came in like clockwork. $3,200 a month total after the property management fees. Combined with her consulting income, she was making more than she had at her corporate job. And she was doing it on her own terms. Trevor, meanwhile, was falling apart. She heard it through the grapevine first. A mutual friend reached out, concerned. I saw Trevor last week. He looks rough. Did you guys really split up? Naomi kept her response simple. Yes. What happened? He cheated. I left. Oh. There was a long pause. That's awful. Is he doing okay? I don't know and I don't care. The friend didn't contact her again. Good. She was done pretending to care about Trevor's well-being. But the reports kept coming anyway. Through other friends. Through people at her old company. through the rumor mill that always knew more than it should. Trevor had lost his job. Something about poor performance and missed quotas. He'd been living in the apartment with Paige until the lease ran out, then they'd moved into a cheap studio across town. Paige was supposedly paying most of the rent. They were fighting constantly. Naomi absorbed this information with no emotion. It didn't give her satisfaction. It didn't make her sad. It just was. What did give her satisfaction was her own progress. Every consultation call. Every invoice paid. Every dollar that went into her accounts Trevor had never known about and never would. She renovated the bathroom in her house. Updated the kitchen with new countertops. Painted the exterior a soft blue. The house stopped feeling like her parents' property and started feeling like home. Gloria from next door became a genuine friend. They had coffee on Saturday mornings. Gloria had been divorced herself years ago, had raised 3 kids on her own, had built a life on her terms. "You're doing it right," Gloria said one morning, watching Naomi show off the new garden bed she'd installed. "You're building something solid." That's the thing people don't understand about divorce. It's not just about leaving. It's about what you build after. Did you ever regret it? Leaving your ex? Not once. Best decision I ever made. Gave my kids a better life. Gave myself a better life. Gloria sipped her coffee. The man I left was like a weight around my neck, dragging me down, making every day harder than it needed to be. Once he was gone, I could breathe again. That's exactly how I feel. Then you know you did the right thing. 4 months into the divorce proceedings, Patricia called with an update. They want to settle again. They're getting desperate. What are they offering? $5,000 and they'll drop all claims to any assets or support. Naomi thought about it. $5,000 would end this faster. Would let her move on completely. Would give her peace. No. You're sure? This would be over in a month. I'm sure. He doesn't deserve $5,000. He doesn't deserve $5. Let's go to court. Okay. Court date is set for 6 weeks from now. His lawyer is going to push hard on financial discovery. They're going to demand full disclosure of all accounts, all assets, all sources of income. And we'll provide it. For the marital assets. They get to see the checking account, the savings account, the 401k. That's it. They're going to subpoena bank records. Let them. They can subpoena records for any account associated with my social security number. The trust accounts aren't associated with my social security number. They're associated with the trust, which was established before the marriage. With money from before the marriage. You've been reading up on this. I've been doing my homework. Patricia laughed. Good. Keep doing it. The more you understand, the better prepared you'll be. That night, Naomi pulled up her trust documents again. She'd read through them a dozen times now, understanding them better each time. Her parents had been smart. They'd set everything up to protect her. The trust owned the houses. The trust collected the rent. The trust paid the taxes. Naomi was the trustee and the beneficiary, but the assets themselves were held separately. Even if Trevor somehow found out about the houses, he'd have no claim. The trust was irrevocable. Established before the marriage. Funded entirely with inheritance. But he wasn't going to find out. She'd made sure of that. She'd never used her maiden name Hammond in conversation with Trevor. She'd taken his last name when they married. All her documents with him had her married name. The lease on the apartment. The joint checking account. Everything. The houses were all under Hammond. The trust was Hammond Family Trust. The property management company sent all communication to her P.O. box under her maiden name. Even the consulting business was registered under Hammond Consulting. Trevor was looking for Naomi, his last name. He'd never think to look for Naomi Hammond. She'd compartmentalized her life so completely that the 2 names might as well be 2 different people. And legally, in a lot of ways, they were. By the time the court date arrived, Naomi was ready. She had documentation for everything. Receipts for every piece of furniture she was claiming. Bank statements showing the separation of finances. Proof that she'd been the primary breadwinner and that Trevor had contributed minimally. Patricia had prepared a binder 2 inches thick with evidence. Every lie Trevor had told. Every financial discrepancy. Every woman he'd scammed before Naomi. It was overkill for a simple divorce, but it sent a message. We're not playing games. The day before court, Naomi got her hair done. She bought a new outfit. Not because she wanted to impress anyone, but because she wanted to feel powerful. She wanted to walk into that courtroom looking like exactly what she was. A woman who'd built something from nothing and wasn't going to let anyone take it from her. That evening she stood in her house, her beautiful, renovated, fully paid-off house, and felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Pride. Not pride in leaving Trevor. That had been necessary, not admirable. Pride in what she'd built after. In the business she'd started. In the life she'd created. In the strength she'd found. Trevor had tried to use her. Had tried to make her into someone who existed to support him. To bankroll his lifestyle. To give him the life he wanted without having to earn it himself. Instead, he'd freed her. By showing her who he really was, he'd given her permission to become who she really was. Someone who didn't need him. Someone who'd never needed him. Someone who was going to walk into that courtroom tomorrow and take back everything he'd tried to steal. Starting with her peace of mind. The courtroom was smaller than Naomi expected. Beige walls. Fluorescent lights. A tired-looking judge who'd probably heard 100 divorce cases just like this one. Except this wasn't like any other case. At least not for Naomi. Trevor sat at the other table with his lawyer, a man in an ill-fitting suit who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Trevor wouldn't look at her. She didn't want to see his face. The proceedings were dry. Financial disclosures. Asset division. Testimony about who bought what and when. Patricia presented their case methodically. Every receipt. Every bank statement. Every piece of documentation showing that Naomi had brought almost everything into the marriage and Trevor had brought almost nothing. Trevor's lawyer tried to argue that Trevor had contributed in non-financial ways. That he'd supported Naomi emotionally. That marriage was a partnership beyond just money. Patricia didn't even blink. Your Honor, the defendant engaged in an extramarital affair that lasted 8 months. During this time, he was sharing the marital bed with another woman while the plaintiff was working overtime to support their household. If we're discussing emotional contributions, I'd say the defendant's contribution was betrayal. The judge's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Understanding. Maybe even sympathy. Trevor's lawyer brought up the 401k. Argued that Trevor was entitled to half of what had accumulated during the marriage. Patricia had already prepared for this. She showed that Naomi had been contributing the maximum amount to her 401k since before she met Trevor. During the marriage, the contributions had continued at the same rate. The growth was mostly due to Naomi's contributions and market performance, not marital contributions. The judge awarded Trevor $1,200 from the 401k. Naomi didn't even flinch. $1,200 to be done with him forever? Worth it. Then came the furniture. Trevor's lawyer argued that even if Naomi had purchased most of it, it had been used jointly during the marriage and should be split. Patricia pulled out receipts dated before the marriage. Delivery confirmations to Naomi's premarital address. Photos from Naomi's old apartment showing the same furniture. Credit card statements in Naomi's name only. The defendant moved into the plaintiff's furnished apartment. He brought a PlayStation and a duffel bag of clothes. He contributed no furniture to the household. He has no claim to any of it. The judge agreed. Trevor's lawyer made one last desperate attempt. Your Honor, the defendant is being left with essentially nothing. He has no savings. No assets. The plaintiff is forcing him into financial hardship. The judge looked up from her papers. Is the plaintiff responsible for the defendant's financial situation? She's the primary earner. That's not what I asked. Is the plaintiff responsible for the defendant's lack of savings and assets? Trevor's lawyer hesitated. The defendant made financial decisions based on the assumption that the marriage would continue. And the plaintiff made financial decisions based on the assumption that her husband wouldn't commit adultery for 8 months. The judge's voice was dry. Bad assumptions don't create legal obligations. Does the defendant have employment? He's currently between jobs. Then he needs to find employment. This court sees no reason why a capable adult should receive financial support from a spouse he betrayed. The judge looked at her notes. The court finds that the plaintiff entered this marriage with substantially more assets than the defendant. The plaintiff maintained separate accounts and made separate purchases. The defendant contributed minimally to household expenses and marital assets. The infidelity, while not the basis for this division, speaks to the defendant's character and his claims of emotional contribution. She looked up. The court awards the defendant $1,200 from the 401k, to be paid within 30 days. All furniture, appliances, and household items are awarded to the plaintiff, who can show proof of purchase. The vehicle currently driven by the defendant is awarded to the defendant. The vehicle currently driven by the plaintiff is awarded to the plaintiff. No spousal support is awarded. The marriage is dissolved. We're done here. Just like that, it was over. Naomi walked out of the courtroom with Patricia, feeling lighter than she had in months. In the hallway, she heard Trevor's voice behind her. Naomi, wait. She kept walking. Naomi, please. Can we just talk for a minute? Patricia stepped between them. Mr. Whatever his name was, you've been awarded what the court deemed fair. My client has no obligation to speak with you. I just want to explain. No. Patricia's voice was firm. You're divorced. You're done. Leave her alone. They walked away, leaving Trevor standing in the courthouse hallway. Naomi didn't look back. Didn't need to. That chapter was closed. Outside, Patricia turned to her. How do you feel? Free. Good. Give it a few weeks for everything to process, and then you'll never have to think about him again. They shook hands. Patricia had been worth every penny. More than worth it. She'd given Naomi her life back. Naomi drove home to her house. Her name on the deed. Her furniture inside. Her life to live however she wanted. She spent the afternoon working on client proposals. Her consulting business had grown beyond anything she'd imagined. She now had 12 regular clients and a waiting list of 3 more. She was making more money than she'd ever made in her corporate job, and she was doing it from her dining room table. She'd raised her rates twice. Clients paid them without blinking. Apparently, being good at what you did meant you could charge what you were worth. Who knew? That weekend, she closed on a 4th property. A small duplex in an up-and-coming neighborhood. She'd been saving aggressively, and the rental income from her other 2 properties had made her a very attractive buyer. The duplex needed work, but it had good bones. She could rent one side immediately and renovate the other over the next few months. Gloria helped her celebrate with champagne on the back porch. 4 properties. And you're what, 32? 33 next month. Girl, you're building an empire. I'm building security. There's a difference. Is there? Sounds like an empire to me. Maybe Gloria was right. Maybe what Naomi was building was bigger than she'd thought. Not just houses. Not just income. But independence. The kind that couldn't be taken away by anyone. Ever. Her phone rang. A number she didn't recognize. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Hello. Hi, is this Naomi? Naomi Hammond? Yes. My name is Deshawn. I'm calling from Business Growth Magazine. We're doing a feature on women entrepreneurs in real estate, and your name came up in our research. I was wondering if you'd be interested in being interviewed. Naomi blinked. How did you find me? Your consulting website. And your property management profile came up when we were searching for successful female real estate investors in the area. You own multiple properties and you run a consulting business? That's exactly the kind of story we're looking for. I'm pretty private about my business. I understand. But we're specifically highlighting women who are building wealth independently, who are creating their own paths. We think your story could inspire others. Naomi thought about it. A year ago she would have said no, would have wanted to stay invisible. But now she built something worth talking about, something she was proud of. Okay, I'll do it. The interview happened 2 weeks later. Deshawn asked about her background, her properties, her consulting business. Naomi talked about her parents' legacy. About the importance of financial independence. About building something that couldn't be taken away. She didn't mention Trevor. Didn't mention the divorce. That part of her life wasn't relevant to this story. This story was about what she'd built, not what she'd left behind. The article came out a month later. Naomi Hammond, building an empire 1 property at a time. It was 3 pages with photos of her in front of one of her rental properties, looking confident and successful. Which she realized she actually was. The article brought more consulting clients. Brought people asking for advice on real estate investing. Brought opportunities she'd never imagined. One of those opportunities came from a woman named Angela who reached out after reading the article. I'm going through a divorce, Angela said during their consultation call. And I need to figure out how to support myself. How to build something that's mine. Your article made me think maybe I could do it too. Naomi spent an hour with Angela talking through options. Real estate. Consulting. Side businesses. Building a financial foundation. By the end of the call, Angela was crying. Thank you. You don't know what this means. I thought I was stuck. I thought I had no way out. You're not stuck. You just need a plan. Did you go through something like this? Is that how you knew to protect yourself? Naomi paused. Yes, I went through something like this. And it taught me that the only person you can truly depend on is yourself. So you build a life where you don't need anyone to rescue you. How do you start? You start by figuring out what you have, what you can do, what you can build, and then you start building. After the call, Naomi realized something. She'd been helping women like Angela without even knowing it. Women who needed to find their own strength, their own path, their own independence. Maybe that could be part of her business. Financial consulting specifically for women leaving bad situations. Women who needed to build something fast, something solid. She started researching, started putting together a program, resources, strategies, a roadmap from survival to success. Within 3 months, she had 10 clients in the program. Within 6 months, she had 20. She charged on a sliding scale based on what they could afford. Some paid full price. Some paid half. Some paid nothing, and she worked with them anyway because she remembered what it felt like to need a way out. The program became more profitable than her general consulting. Not because she charged more, but because word spread. Women told their friends, their sisters, their coworkers. The woman who helped me leave. The woman who showed me I could make it on my own. The woman who proved independence was possible. Naomi Hammond Consulting became Naomi Hammond Financial Independence Coaching. The website got a redesign. The services got more specific. The mission became clear. Teaching women to build lives they didn't need to escape from. 1 year after the divorce, Naomi looked at her bank accounts. The trust account, the business account, the personal account, her 401k, her 4 properties. She was worth just over $400,000. $400,000 she'd built herself, protected herself, grown herself, and Trevor had no idea any of it existed. The divorce had been final for 6 months when Naomi stopped checking her phone every day to make sure Trevor wasn't trying to contact her. She'd moved on, built a life, created something real. But that didn't mean Trevor had moved on. The first sign came from an unexpected source. Paige. Naomi was at the grocery store, loading her cart with vegetables for the week, when she heard her name. Naomi? She turned. Paige stood there, looking nothing like the confident woman who'd been in Naomi's bed a year and a half ago. She looked thin, tired. Her clothes hung loose on her frame, dark circles under her eyes. Paige. Naomi's voice was flat. Can we talk? Please? No. Just 5 minutes? Please. I need to tell you something. I don't care what you need to tell me. It's about Trevor. Still don't care. Naomi started to push her cart away, but Paige stepped in front of her. He's broke. Like completely broke. He got fired from another job last month. He's living with his mom. He's been asking me for money. And I thought you should know. I thought, Paige's voice cracked. I thought you should know that you were right. About him. About everything. Naomi looked at her. Really looked at her. Paige wasn't here to apologize. She was here to unload her guilt. To make herself feel better by confessing to the woman she'd wronged. I don't forgive you, Naomi said quietly. I don't care that you regret it. I don't care that Trevor used you too. You made choices. You live with them. I know. I wanted to say I'm sorry. Okay. You've said it. We're done here. Naomi moved around her cart and kept walking. She didn't look back. Didn't care if Paige was crying or standing there or had already left. It didn't matter. Paige's guilt wasn't Naomi's problem. But the encounter stuck with her. Trevor was broke. Living with his mom. Struggling. Good. The second sign came a month later. A message request on a social media platform Naomi barely used. From Trevor. I know you don't want to hear from me. I know I messed up. But I need help. I'm drowning here. I lost my job and I can't find anything. My mom's place is temporary. I need a loan. Just enough to get back on my feet. Please. You're doing so well. I see your business is successful. I just need a little help. Naomi stared at the message for a long time. Part of her wanted to block him immediately. Part of her wanted to respond with everything she'd been holding back. All the anger. All the betrayal. All the ways he'd used her. Instead she typed one word, no. Then she blocked him. Trevor's response came from a different account an hour later. You're really going to leave me with nothing? After everything we had? After 2 years of marriage? You're just going to let me struggle? She blocked that account too. But the messages kept coming. Different platforms. Different accounts. All with the same theme. He needed money. He was struggling. She was doing well. She should help. Like she owed him something. Like his failures were her responsibility. Patricia advised her to document everything. If he keeps harassing you, we can get a restraining order. Will it come to that? It might. Men like Trevor don't like losing. especially when they realize they lost to someone who's thriving without them. Naomi thought about that. She wasn't just surviving. She was thriving. And Trevor could see it. Her business had a public website. Her real estate investments weren't secret. Anyone who looked could see that she was doing well. What Trevor couldn't see was exactly how well. He didn't know about the trust, the multiple properties, the full extent of her wealth. He just saw the surface, the consulting business, the one house he might have driven past if he was stalking her social media for clues. He thought she was doing okay. He had no idea she was doing great. 3 months after the grocery store encounter, Naomi was meeting with a new client when her phone buzzed. Gloria, Trevor is at your house. Do you want me to call the police? Naomi's blood ran cold. Did he try to get inside? He's sitting on the porch. Been there for about 20 minutes. Just sitting. I asked if he needed something and he said he was waiting for you. Don't call the police yet. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Naomi apologized to her client, rescheduled, and drove home faster than she should have. When she pulled up, Trevor was exactly where Gloria said he'd be. Sitting on her porch steps. Looking defeated. She parked and walked up slowly. You need to leave. I just want to talk. We have nothing to talk about. You need to leave. Naomi, please. Just hear me out. No. Get off my property. He stood up and for a second she was afraid. Afraid of what he might do. What he might say. But he just looked tired. Broken. I made a mistake. I know that now. I threw away the best thing I ever had. You're right. You did. And now you deal with the consequences. I can't find a job. Nobody's hiring. I've been applying everywhere. I'm living with my mother. I'm barely making it. That's not my problem. It could be. We could try again. Start over. I'm different now. I learned my lesson. Naomi actually laughed. You want me to take you back because you're broke and desperate? That's not different. That's exactly who you've always been. That's not true. It is true. I know about Jennifer. I know about the other women. I know this is what you do. You find someone with money and you attach yourself to them until they figure you out. Then you move on to the next one. Except this time there is no next one. And you're realizing that nobody else is going to carry you. Trevor's face changed. The defeated look disappeared, replaced by something uglier. Anger. You think you're so much better than me. I don't think about you at all. Yes, you do. You're still angry. You're still bitter. That's why you wouldn't help me. That's why you took everything in the divorce. I took what was mine. You got what you deserved. Which was nothing. I deserve better than this. I deserve a chance. You had chances. You blew them. Now get off my porch before I call the police. Fine. He started walking toward his car, then stopped. You know what? You weren't that great. You were boring. You were predictable. Paige was better. Naomi didn't react. Didn't give him the satisfaction. Is that why she left you? He flinched. Yeah, she told me. You tried to use her too. She figured it out faster than I did. So now you're alone. Broke. Living with your mother. And you thought you could come here and guilt me into saving you. Because that's what women do for you, right? We save you. Naomi. I'm done saving you. I'm done with you. Don't come back here. Don't contact me. Don't ask me for money. We're not friends. We're not family. We're nothing. You made sure of that when you brought another woman into our bed. She pulled out her phone. I'm calling the police now. You have 30 seconds to leave before I report you for trespassing. Trevor got in his car. Before he drove away, he rolled down his window. You're going to regret this. I already regret ever meeting you. This part? This is me fixing that mistake. He drove off. Naomi waited until his car was out of sight, then went inside and locked all the doors. Her hands were shaking. Not from fear. From adrenaline. She called Patricia. He showed up at my house. Did he threaten you? Not exactly. But he said I'd regret not helping him. That's enough. I'm filing for a restraining order tomorrow. Get me a written statement of what happened. Timeline. Everything he said. Everything you said. I want it all documented. That night, Naomi wrote out every detail. Every word exchanged. Every threat implied. She sent it to Patricia and then called Gloria to thank her for the heads up. Are you okay? Gloria asked. I'm okay. But I'm getting a restraining order. Good. That boy's got problems. You don't need to be part of them. I'm not. Not anymore. But that night, lying in bed in her safe house, her locked house, her paid-off house, Naomi realized something. Trevor would never really be gone. Not completely. He'd always be out there, struggling, blaming her for his failures. Maybe trying to contact her again. Maybe showing up again. Some men couldn't accept that they'd lost. Couldn't accept that they'd driven away the best thing they'd ever had. Couldn't accept that their actions had consequences. Trevor was one of those men. But Naomi wasn't the same woman he'd married. She was stronger now. Smarter. Better protected. And she had something he'd never have. Freedom. The restraining order was granted 2 weeks later. Trevor was ordered to stay at least 500 feet away from Naomi, her home, and her business. Any contact would result in arrest. Patricia called with the news. He's officially banned from your life. Good. How are you feeling? Free. And she was. Finally, completely free. The divorce had ended the marriage. But this ended the connection. Trevor couldn't reach her now. Couldn't show up. Couldn't ask for help. Couldn't guilt her or manipulate her or try to worm his way back into her life. He was gone. For real this time. Naomi went back to work. Back to her clients. Back to building her business and managing her properties and living the life she'd created from the ashes of her marriage. She didn't think about Trevor anymore. Didn't wonder if he was okay. Didn't care if he ever found another job or another woman or another victim. He wasn't her problem. He'd never be her problem again. 6 months after the restraining order, Naomi heard through someone's sister's friend's cousin that Trevor had hit rock bottom. She didn't ask for details. Didn't seek them out. But people loved to share gossip, especially about people who'd fallen hard. He'd lost another job. This one at a call center. Apparently he'd been rude to customers and missed too many shifts. He was still living with his mother, but that relationship was strained. His mother was tired of supporting a grown man who wouldn't get his life together. Paige had moved on completely. She'd gotten engaged to someone else. Someone with a stable job and no history of cheating. Someone who wasn't Trevor. When people told Naomi these things, they watched her face for a reaction. Waiting for satisfaction. For glee. For some sign that she was happy about Trevor's downfall. They didn't get one. That's unfortunate for him, she'd say. Then change the subject. Because she meant it. It was unfortunate. Not because she cared about Trevor, but because watching someone self-destruct was never satisfying. It was just sad. A waste of potential. A waste of chances. But it wasn't her responsibility to fix. Her business, meanwhile, had grown beyond anything she'd imagined. She now had 37 clients in her financial independence program. She'd hired an assistant to help manage scheduling and follow-ups. She'd spoken at 2 conferences about women and financial independence. She'd been featured in 3 more magazine articles. Her 4 properties were all rented, all profitable, all maintained. She'd saved enough to start looking at a 5th property, but she was being picky. The right place at the right price. No rush. Her consulting income alone was enough to live comfortably. The rental income was gravy. Money she saved, invested, grew. Building a foundation that got stronger every year. She'd also started dating. Nothing serious. Just casual dinners with people she met through work or friends. Getting to know what she actually wanted instead of settling for what was available. Most of the dates were fine. Nice men. Good conversations. But no spark. No connection worth pursuing. And that was okay. She wasn't desperate for companionship. She was content with her life. If someone amazing came along, great. If not, she was still happy. One of those dates was with a man named Isaiah who'd taken her cooking class in Jamaica a few months back. He'd been traveling for work and had reached out when he came back to town. They'd been texting casually for weeks. He was respectful. Funny. He had his own business as a contractor. He owned his own home. He talked about his goals and his family and his life with an honesty that felt refreshing. Their first date was coffee. Their second was dinner. Their third was a concert where they laughed more than they listened to the music. By the 4th date, Naomi realized she was actually enjoying this. Not just tolerating it or going through the motions. Actually enjoying spending time with someone. Can I ask you something? Isaiah said one evening as they walked through the park near her house. Sure. You're really guarded. I can tell. And that's okay. I just want to know if it's me or if it's something else. Naomi thought about how to answer. She could deflect. Make a joke. Change the subject. But Isaiah had been honest with her. She could be honest back. It's not you. I was married before. It ended badly. I'm still learning how to trust again. How long ago? The divorce was final about 1.5 years ago. That's recent. It is. Do you want to tell me what happened? Not really. But the short version is he cheated. For a long time. With someone I knew. I found out, I left, I divorced him. End of story. Isaiah nodded slowly. That's brutal. I'm sorry. Thank you. Is he still bothering you? No. I have a restraining order. He's not allowed to contact me. Good. You deserve better than that. They walked in silence for a few minutes. Then Isaiah said, for what it's worth, I'm not him. I don't cheat. I don't lie. I don't play games. If I'm with someone, I'm with them. If I'm not interested, I say so. Life's too short for anything else. I appreciate that. But I also get that trust isn't automatic. So I'm okay with taking this slow. As slow as you need. I'm not going anywhere. Naomi felt something shift. Not love. Not yet. But possibility. The possibility that maybe not everyone was like Trevor. Maybe some people actually meant what they said. Maybe she could try again without losing herself. I'd like that, she said. Taking it slow. Good. Then that's what we'll do. They continued dating. Slowly. Carefully. Isaiah never pushed. Never demanded more than she was ready to give. He met Gloria, who approved. He saw her house and was impressed by what she'd done with it. He talked about his own rental property and they spent hours discussing real estate strategies and renovation projects. It was easy. Comfortable. Different from how things had been with Trevor, where she'd always felt like she was working to keep him happy. With Isaiah, she could just be herself. 3 months into dating, Isaiah asked about the holidays. What are your plans for Thanksgiving? Usually, I just do a quiet dinner at home. Maybe Gloria comes over. Why? My family does a big thing. My mom, my sisters, my nephew. It's loud and chaotic and they're going to ask you 1,000 questions. But I'd like you to come. If you're comfortable with that. Meeting his family felt big. Significant. A step toward something more serious. Naomi almost said no. Almost protected herself by keeping things casual. But she was tired of protecting herself from everything. Sometimes you had to take a risk. Okay. I'll come. Thanksgiving with Isaiah's family was exactly what he described. Loud. Chaotic. Full of laughter and questions and people who clearly loved each other. His mother pulled Naomi aside at one point. He talks about you all the time. Says you're special. He's special too. He is. And he's been through some hard times. His ex-wife did a number on him. Left him for her boss. Took half his savings. It took him a long time to trust again. Naomi felt a connection there. I understand that. I figured you might. Isaiah told me a little bit about your situation. I'm sorry you went through that. Thank you. But I'm glad you found each other. Sometimes the people who've been hurt are the ones who know how to be careful with each other. Naomi thought about that. Maybe Isaiah's mother was right. Maybe two people who'd been betrayed could be more careful. More honest. More aware of what trust actually meant. By the time Christmas rolled around, Isaiah and Naomi were officially together. Not engaged. Not moving in together. Just committed. Exclusive. Building something real. They didn't talk about Trevor. Naomi had told Isaiah the basics and that was enough. Trevor was the past. Isaiah was the present. Maybe the future. She'd see. But one thing was certain. She'd never again be the person who gave everything to someone who gave nothing back. She'd never again be the person who didn't protect herself. She'd never again be the person who stayed when she should have left. Trevor had taught her that lesson the hard way. And she'd learned it well. 2 years after the divorce, Naomi's life looked nothing like it had when she was married. She owned 5 properties now. Her business had expanded to include online courses and group coaching. She'd published an ebook about financial independence that had sold over 5,000 copies. She was being invited to speak at conferences across the country. And Isaiah was still there. Patient. Supportive. Building his own life while respecting hers. They talked about moving in together but decided against it. They both valued their independence. Their own spaces. The ability to miss each other. I don't need to live with you to love you, Isaiah said one evening as they sat on his back porch. I just need to know you're choosing me every day. And you are. I am, Naomi agreed. And you're choosing me. Every day. It was different from how things had been with Trevor. With Trevor there had been desperation. A feeling that she needed to hold on tight or lose everything. With Isaiah there was peace. A feeling that they were both whole people who'd chosen to share their lives. Not complete each other. Just complement each other. One Saturday afternoon, Naomi was at the hardware store picking up paint for her latest renovation project when she heard a familiar voice. Naomi? She turned. Trevor stood there looking better than the last time she'd seen him. He'd gained some weight back. His clothes were clean. He looked employed. I know I'm not supposed to talk to you, he said quickly. The restraining order. But I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. You deserved better. Naomi looked at him. Felt nothing. No anger. No pain. No lingering hurt. Just nothing. Okay, she said. I got my life together. I'm working steady. Going to therapy. Trying to be better. That's good. I hope it works out for you. Do you think, he paused, do you think we could ever be friends? Like someday? No. He nodded like he'd expected that answer. Fair enough. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. And that I hope you're doing well. I am. Better than well. I can tell. I see your business online sometimes. You're doing amazing things. I'm proud of you. Naomi felt a flash of anger at that. Don't do that. Don't act like you have any right to be proud of me. You didn't build this. You tried to tear it down. Don't claim any connection to my success. You're right. I'm sorry. I just meant. I know what you meant. But we're not doing this. We're not having some moment where you get absolution and I get closure. We're just two people who used to know each other. That's it. That's all we'll ever be. She pushed her cart past him and walked away. Didn't look back. Didn't need to. In the parking lot, she loaded her supplies into her truck and sat for a minute, processing. Seeing Trevor hadn't hurt. Hadn't triggered anything. He was just a person now. Someone from her past who taught her important lessons about who she wanted to be and who she never wanted to be again. She texted Isaiah. Ran into Trevor at the store. I'm fine. See you for dinner? His response came immediately. See you at 7. Love you. Love you too. She drove home to her house. Her beautiful, peaceful, fully paid off house. Parked in the driveway. Walked through the door. Looked around at everything she'd built. This was her life now. Built by her. Protected by her. Controlled by her. She had work she loved. Properties that provided security. A partner who respected her. Friends who supported her. A future that looked bright. Trevor hadn't been part of any of it. And that was exactly how she wanted it. That evening, over dinner with Isaiah, she told him about the encounter. How do you feel? He asked. Indifferent. Like I saw someone I went to high school with. Someone who doesn't matter anymore. That's growth. It is. I'm not angry. I'm not hurt. I'm just done. Isaiah reached across the table and took her hand. I'm glad you found your way out of that. And I'm glad you found your way here. Me too. Later that night, Naomi sat on her back porch with a glass of wine, looking at the garden she'd planted. Flowers blooming in the late summer heat. Vegetables growing in neat rows. Everything organized and thriving. Her phone buzzed. An email from a woman who'd read her book. Your story gave me hope. I'm leaving my husband next week. I'm scared, but I know I can do this. Thank you for showing me it's possible. Naomi replied with resources. Phone numbers for lawyers and therapists. Tips for documenting assets. Encouragement to trust herself. This was why she'd built her business. This was why she shared her story. Not for revenge against Trevor. Not to prove anything to anyone. But to help other women find their own strength. Their own path. Their own freedom. Trevor had tried to make her small. Had tried to use her. Had tried to control the narrative of her life. Instead, he'd made her bigger. Stronger. More determined than ever to build something that couldn't be taken away. She'd won. Not because Trevor had lost. But because she'd found herself. And that was worth more than any revenge could ever be. 3 years after the divorce, Naomi closed on her 6th property. A small commercial building that she was converting into offices for her expanding business. The downstairs would house her coaching practice. The upstairs would be rental office space for other small businesses. It was a risk. Her biggest investment yet. But she'd run the numbers. Consulted with experts. Planned carefully. And it was going to work. The day she got the keys, Isaiah took her to dinner to celebrate. 6 properties. A thriving business. You're basically a mogul now. Naomi laughed. I'm barely a mogul. But I'm doing okay. You're doing more than okay. You're building legacy wealth. You're creating something that will last. That's the goal. Speaking of goals. Isaiah set down his fork, suddenly looking nervous. I need to ask you something. Naomi's heart skipped. She knew what was coming. They'd been together for almost 2 years. They'd talked about the future in vague terms. But nothing concrete. Okay. I'm not proposing. Not yet. Because I know you need time. You need to be sure. And I respect that. But I need to know if marriage is something you'd ever want again. If it's something you could see with me. Because if it's not, that's okay. I love you either way. But I need to know if we're building toward the same thing. Naomi thought about it. Really thought about it. Marriage to Trevor had nearly destroyed her. Had made her cautious. Had made her guard her independence fiercely. But marriage to Trevor wasn't marriage to Isaiah. I could see it, she said slowly. Not right now. But someday. When we're both ready. When it feels right. Isaiah smiled. Relieved. That's all I needed to hear. No rush. Just wanted to know we were on the same page. We are. They continued dating. Building their separate lives while intertwining them more each day. Isaiah had met her clients. Naomi had met his business partners. They talked about projects and plans and dreams. They supported each other without trying to control each other. It was healthy. Real. Everything her marriage to Trevor had never been. One Saturday morning, Naomi was at the farmer's market buying fresh vegetables when she saw him. Trevor. He was with a woman. She was young. Pretty. Laughing at something he said. Naomi watched from a distance. Saw the way Trevor was looking at the woman. Like she was the answer to all his problems. Like she could save him. Poor girl. She had no idea what she was getting into. Naomi almost walked over. Almost warned her. Almost said run. He's going to use you. He's going to take everything he can and leave you with nothing. But she didn't. It wasn't her responsibility to save everyone. That woman would figure it out on her own. Or she wouldn't. Either way, it wasn't Naomi's problem. She finished her shopping and went home. Later that day, she was working in her garden when Gloria came over with iced tea. You're always working on something, Gloria said. Don't you ever just rest? This is rest. Being outside. Getting my hands dirty. Building something. You've built a lot. Maybe it's time to just enjoy it. Maybe. But I like the building part. I like seeing what I can create. Gloria smiled. Your parents would be proud. You think so? I know so. They left you those houses so you'd have security. So you'd have options. And look what you did with it. You didn't just use it to survive. You used it to thrive. Naomi thought about her parents. About the car accident that took them too soon. About the grief that had nearly broken her. About the legacy they'd left behind. They'd given her houses. But more than that, they'd given her a foundation. A place to stand when everything else fell apart. A safety net that let her take risks because she knew she'd be okay. Without those houses, she might have stayed with Trevor. Might have felt trapped. Might have thought she had nowhere else to go. But she'd had options. And those options had saved her life. I wish I could thank them, Naomi said quietly. You do thank them. Every day. By living well. By building something meaningful. By helping other women do the same. That's the best thank you there is. That evening, Naomi opened her laptop and looked at her financial spreadsheet. She did this once a month, tracking her progress. Watching her net worth grow. Making sure she was still on track with her goals. The numbers were staggering. $500,000 in real estate equity. $200,000 in investments and savings. A business that generated over $150,000 a year in profit. At 35 years old, she was financially free. She could stop working tomorrow and live comfortably off her rental income and investments. But she wouldn't stop. Because it wasn't just about the money. It was about the purpose. The women she helped. The security she provided for her future. The legacy she was building. Trevor had no idea any of this existed. He'd probably assumed she was still working her corporate job. Maybe doing okay. But not thriving. Never thriving. He had no idea that every decision she'd made, keeping the houses secret, protecting her assets, building her business, had led to this. To freedom. To power. To the ability to live life on her own terms. Her phone rang. Isaiah. Hey you. I'm making dinner at my place. Want to come over? I'll be there in 30. Perfect. Oh, and I saw something interesting today. There's a duplex for sale on my block. Needs work, but it's priced right. Thought you might want to look at it. Send me the listing. Already did. Naomi pulled up the listing on her phone. Isaiah was right. It needed work, but the bones were good. The price was fair. The location was great. Property number 7. She smiled. Why not? She drove to Isaiah's house, pulling up just as the sun was setting. He was on the porch waiting for her, grill already going. She got out of the car and walked up the steps and he kissed her hello. How was your day? He asked. Good. Productive. Normal. See Trevor at the farmer's market? She texted him about it earlier. Yeah. He was with someone new. How'd that make you feel? Nothing. I didn't feel anything. He's just someone I used to know. Good. That's exactly where he should be. They ate dinner on the porch, talking about the duplex and renovation plans and whether Naomi should start a podcast about financial independence. The conversation flowed easily. No drama. No secrets. No games. This was what a partnership was supposed to look like. Two people who supported each other, who trusted each other, who built separate lives that complemented instead of competing. After dinner, Isaiah pulled out his phone. I want to show you something. I've been working on a project. Business expansion plans. New services. Market research. And I wanted your opinion before I move forward. He talked her through his ideas, asking questions, taking notes on her suggestions. They spent an hour discussing strategy and numbers and growth potential. This was love. Not grand gestures or passionate declarations, but respect, partnership, trust. At the end of the evening, as Naomi was leaving, Isaiah walked her to her car. I know we said not yet, he said, but I'm going to ask someday. When the time is right. Just want you to know that. I know, and I'll say yes. When the time is right. No rush. No rush. She drove home through streets she knew by heart now. Past the apartment where she'd lived with Trevor, now occupied by someone else living their own life. Past the courthouse where she'd gotten her divorce. Past the old version of herself who'd thought her world was ending. When she pulled into her driveway, she sat in the car for a moment looking at her house. Her refuge. Her foundation. Her proof that she could survive anything and come out stronger. Trevor had taken her trust. Her sense of security. Her belief in love. But he hadn't taken the things that mattered. The inheritance. The properties. The foundation her parents had built. The strength she'd found inside herself. She'd rebuilt everything he'd tried to destroy. And in the process she'd built something better. Something that was entirely hers. Inside, she opened her laptop one more time. Looked at the duplex listing. Ran the numbers. Calculated the potential return. Decided. She sent an email to her real estate agent. I want to see this property tomorrow. If the inspection looks good, I'm ready to make an offer. Property number 7. Another piece of security. Another step toward the future she was building. Trevor had thought she had nowhere to go. No options. No way out. He'd been wrong about everything. Naomi closed her laptop and looked around her living room. Photos of her with Isaiah. With Gloria. With clients whose lives she'd changed. With the women in her coaching program who'd found their own strength. This was her life now. Built from the ashes of betrayal. Stronger because of it. She'd won. Not because Trevor had lost. But because she'd found herself. Built herself. Became someone who didn't need saving. Someone who saved herself. And that was the best revenge of all. Living well. Living free. Living without him. She went to bed that night in her paid-off house. In the bedroom she'd painted herself. Under sheets she'd bought with money she'd earned. Thinking about the life she'd built and the life still ahead of her. Trevor was somewhere out there, probably struggling. Probably looking for his next target. Probably never understanding why things always fell apart for him. But that wasn't her problem anymore. She'd moved on. Moved forward. Moved up. And she was never looking back.